Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you this afternoon for a quick EP review. I don't know how long I'm going to do this for, but a couple minutes or so. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the Attack Attack Disaster EP, because that's the one I'm reviewing, and let you know my thoughts on all 5 tracks that are on this EP that they decided to release again. Another EP, which let's dive right into this EP review. Now, Concrete is the first track we got back in May, which keep in mind, they've really spoiled like 90% of this record, to be honest, of this whole EP. So they spoiled pretty much all of it, almost all of it, so it's disappointing, but man, at least there was a new track we didn't listen to, which was Spitfire, which I will be talking about that song in a bit. But Concrete was a good track. It was a really strong track. I really like Chris's vocals on this track, and the execution of this song sounded really good. With how it was performed, how it's structured with the melody and the guitar riffs and drum work and the electronics sounding pretty good in it. So 5 out of 5. Blood on the Walls is the second song. This song came out, I think, in I presume July or August, somewhere around there. The last one was We All Meet Up in the End, so I think this was the one that came out in July, if I'm trying to accurately remember. But pretty much it was the third single, and it's a strong track in its own way. I mean, there's some moments where I have my cringe moments through this track. How Chris is rapping in the song in a certain sense. Singing, rapping, and doing regular vocals, so it sounded really good. So 4.75 out of 5. I did have a few critiques, but I didn't hate this song that much. Disaster was a pretty strong track. Really enjoyed this one, and it is the title track for the EP itself, and it was the second single to come out in June this year, and it was a pretty strong song. With how Chris was singing the track, it did really well, and pretty much the electronic work sounded really good in this, and I really dig this track. This is one of my favorite songs for the EP, from this EP, Disaster. So 5 out of 5. Spitfire was kind of decent. It wasn't one of the worst tracks. You get one of those filler tracks that doesn't really, even though you haven't heard the track, you kind of get one of those throw-in tracks that is like mediocre at best. This wasn't mediocre, but it was at least decent. The screaming was good, but it tended to rely on it a bit too much, and I think Chris was sounding good for some points in the track, but the execution was the main thing. So this is a 4 out of 5. I don't hate this track, but I don't necessarily love it. I just think it's a decent song. We All Meet Up in the End is a 4.75 out of 5. This is the last song for this record, and it was the last single before this EP came out. The extended play came out, and with what I listened to, it's a pretty strong way to end this whole extended play for Attack Attack's new Disaster EP. So it was pretty strong in its own way, and Chris's vocals sounded pretty good in it, but some of the moments in the track tend to fluctuate where it's good or bad with how it's mixed. I think the verses were kind of the slow points in the track, but yeah, a few critiques with that, but not to the extent where I hate it. So I think it's a 4.75 out of 5 for me. Pretty good in its own way. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Attack Attack Disaster EP was a pretty good record. Pretty good EP for 5 songs. It will be on my best albums of 2024. So this at least was a step up and in the right direction. keep in mind they did release 4 out of 5 songs. The only song we were mostly interested in was Spitfire. I mean, it did have some banging moments. I won't disregard that. Bangers of moments, but the problem was the execution with that track. But other than that, I think this whole Disaster EP, if I were to give it a score, it's going to get an 8.5 out of 10. Pretty good record, definitely rocks. Highly recommend you check this out for this Friday's releases for September 20th. And I will have a live stream coming out in the next few hours or so for the worst albums of 2024 so far live stream. So definitely tune into that. Other than that, this was a strong EP. Stronger than the last one, Dark Waves. Dark Waves was pretty good, but this was probably better. Um, Dark Waves was average, but I just found a few tracks to be my least favorites from that. Maybe one or track that kind of disappointed me. But other than that, this one for this EP is a strong EP, and it's worth the replay value for sure for 16 minutes. So you're not in for a long listen, just only 16 minutes. But it's an interesting listen. So 8.5 out of 10 for this Disaster EP. Thanks for watching this extended play review.